At Motorboat and Yachting, we'll be making a big effort to spend more time aboard the boats that we test, be that an A to B trip during a sea trial, an overnighter, or if we're really lucky, a whole weekend. And that's what brings me to the helm of this Galeon 335 HTS, because the UK dealer approved boats have lent us this boat for the weekend. So they've given us the keys and they said, off you go, enjoy yourself, use the boat like an owner would. And for us that's great, because it means we see the good and the bad, all those little things that you're not going to pick up if you've just got a quick sea trial. We're going to live with it for the next couple of days. We're on the way up the Beaulieu River at the moment, and that's another big bonus. It means my wife and I can spend some time in one of our favourite cruising destinations, which is the Saloon. We're heading up to Buckler's Hard tonight for our first stop, and we're looking forward to a good weekend and really seeing what this 335 is about. This particular boat, prices start from just over £200,000, but this one is 315 including VAT, but this has got a really good spec on it. It's got the platinum pack, bow thruster, extended wet bar, dark colour scheme, uprated upholstery down below, so it's a really nicely fitted out boat with a pair of Volvo Penta D4 225 diesel engines. The Marina at Buckler's Hard is one of the most peaceful and tranquil in the Solent. Yes, it's a busy marina, but located on the river away from any main roads, it really does feel like you're detached from the hustle and bustle of day-to-day life. The Marina Basin is a short walk away from Buckler's Hard, a place that runs thick with history. The slipway down which Nelson's ships rolled into the river is an unmistakable landmark on the westerly bank. And it was here that Dunkirk little ships were replenished before their heroic passages across the Channel to rescue Allied troops from the besieged beaches during the Second World War. Now it's home to the Master Builder Hotel, a great spot for a pint and some pub grub before a return to the boat and lights out. Well, we've woken to a beautiful morning here at Buckler's Hard on the Beaulieu River, and we had a great night's sleep on board the 335. We've chosen to use the mid cabin as the master. The cabin below me, the forward cabin, has got a bit more headroom, a bit more light, but the bed in the mid cabin is much bigger, and you've got a little entranceway as well, which makes getting changed a bit easier. Today the plan is to shoot over the Solent to Cowes, because no Solent ship would be complete without it. Let's have a little look at the cockpit then. This particular boat's got the extended bathing platform, and it's a really good size. If you carry a dinghy, you could plonk it on there absolutely no problem. Then here you have a sun pad. There's a two-way backrest, so you can push it forward and that extends the size of the sun pad. And there's also a slot that flips over, so you can infill this walkway, so the sun pad traverses the entire width of the cockpit here. And of course, if you pull that backrest back, it becomes a part of the dinette. And what's really nice is you can have the sun pad set up, but people can still sit and use the table if they want to. And of course, you have this little chaise longue on the opposite side as well. For a boat of this size, it's a really sociable layout. Storage is excellent as well. Both of these areas lift up, perfect for storing fenders and lines. And this one here, you don't even have to take the cushions off to do so. You can just lift it up, pop your fenders in, and you're done. One thing I've noticed is that for me, someone with quite big feet, you do struggle a little bit getting up and down the side decks, particularly aft, where that railing, safe as it is, does push you out a little bit. So I'm struggling a little bit to crew down the aft end, but it does open up a bit as you move forward. And then you're into the cockpit proper, where you have this table opposite a wet bar. Again, the wet bar's really substantial. It doesn't feel like a small boat's wet bar. There's a really nice sink in there, an optional griddle, loads of pressure coming through the tap. Nothing feels weedy. Here, this is how you access the engine room. It's electronic. Push up and the entire aft section of the deck lifts up to grant you access to the engine room. Really easy and excellent access as well. Moving forward, you have a manual sunroof on this boat. It's not as slick as an electric one, but it's completely fault proof. It will never go wrong. You simply uncatch this bolt, whole thing slides forward, and you can stop it in 4 different positions as well. Nice and simple, never going to go wrong. This is a nice little area. I think when it's rough, people sitting there will find it very uncomfortable, but in smooth conditions or when the boat's stationary, it's a really nice spot. And as you can see, it catches the sun quite nicely as well. And then you have the helm station Looks really smart in this grey finish. That's an option on this platinum package, but it looks really good. Not much glare off the dash itself, but you do find that this window here reflects into the side window and see a bit, so you need to be a little bit careful with that. But it's a really nice simple helm, everything very clear, comfortable. Again, if you're over 6 foot, you might feel a little bit cramped. No adjustment on the seat. You can bolster it so you can lean. If you want to sit and you're over 6 foot, I think you might find your knees are touching the dash, but for me it fits really, really well. Nice and comfortable, and the view is good as well. Galeon have got quite a neat new system to fasten the cushions on. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but actually it's really clever because it's really good for anti-corrosion because it's just 2 pieces of plastic and really secure as well. So all you do is put it over an eye, which is on the base, and then you just slot that down like that. It grips on and holds the cushion on. So here we are down in the saloon. First thing you notice is how bright it is. Of course you have these big windows either side, but then those windows I showed you in the dash, this is the effect they have down here. They let loads of light pour in. It's not the biggest space, but it feels bigger because there's so much natural light. And it's really cleverly put together because you can open all of these doors to make your passage through the boat easier, and none of them get in the way of each other, of you. It does mean that you can pass from cabin to cabin really easily, and they're held open on really substantial magnets. You can hear they're not going to go anywhere if you leave them open at sea. Another example of little touches that Galeon include that make the boat feel higher quality, more substantial than it is. Same with the galley top, looks and feels really high quality. Induction hob, you got your sink there and then a slot for the bin behind it. Fridge is down here. That's one thing you probably will find, is that if there's 4 of you on board for a long weekend, for example, you might struggle a bit with cooling space because that's the size of your fridge down here. There's another fridge on deck, but it's even smaller. It's fine for short trips, but for long stays I think you will find yourself a little bit short of cooling space. Again, in the heads here, it feels like a bigger boat than it is. Look at the size of that sink, proper tap, and loads of storage as well. Under the sink there, it's nice and deep. You have a mirror up top, but again, behind that, there's even more storage. And then this is the shower cubicle, separated by doors as opposed to a screen, with a proper shower head. Okay, it's a little bit cozy in there, but built to a high standard. The trip down river from Buckler's Hard is a very pleasant one, and it wasn't long before we were out into the Solent and up to speed. Berths in Cowes during the bank holiday can be hard to come by, but with many sailors out racing for the bank holiday weekend, we found a berth in Cowes Yacht Haven easily enough. The Yacht Haven's central location makes it a great springboard from which to explore the town, Cowes alive with people enjoying some early season sun. Lunch taken, it was time to get back out on the water. So what's the 335 like to drive? Well, in terms of engine options, there are 4, 2 petrol and 2 diesel. This boat's got the D4 225s, and for an extra £7,000 you can have the D4 260s, and I think I would go for that. This has been fine in the conditions we've had, top speed of around 28 knots. But I think mid-season, if you've got a lot of cruising gear on board, a tender, full tanks, you'd probably want the extra horsepower. And also these engines are working quite hard, they're using quite a lot of revs to maintain a 25 knot cruise, so they're quite loud, about 85 decibels. Of course this is a bit of an echo chamber in here, especially with the roof closed. But I think the 260s wouldn't be working quite as hard and would maybe be a bit quieter when you're cruising at 25 knots. The handling is really good, it's really predictable boat to drive, steering is lovely and light, not too light though, so it tracks nice and straight. It's typical stern drive handling. It's nice and agile and great fun in the sort of half-metre following sea that we had out in the Saloon just there. The roof is what makes this boat so versatile. Okay, a sliding roof is not a new thing, but we've had bright sunshine, it's cloudy and windier today, so travelling at slow speed, shut the roof and you're really nice and cosy, but you can still ventilate with these side windows. There's one on the port side as well. Okay, they haven't opted to have doors as an option, but you can enclose the entire cockpit with a set of canopies, so you can make it nice and cosy, and it's genuinely a boat you could use throughout the winter as well. I found that the boat likes to run with quite a bit of trim tab in place. It's got Bennett trim tabs that are really good, really fast acting. And I find that if you put it down to 1/2 to 3/4 tab, it just levels off the running attitude a little bit, and then you can trim the legs out to about -3, -2, and it's not porpoising too much, but the view's really good from the helm. The bow, when you're getting onto the plane, it is quite high. That does take a little bit of time to get over the hump. So having the tabs in place then is useful, and then you probably want to put them back to about 1/2 tab, and it makes for a really nice level running attitude. At slow speed, because you've got twin stern drives, the boat is really manoeuvrable. Okay, it's got a bit of windage, but it reacts really positively to the throttles. Obviously you can just use them individually to spin the boat really easily, but if you need a bit more oomph, then you can turn the wheel and use them both at the same time. That gives you a really nice kick either way. And the other thing is, it's got a powerful and quite quiet bow thruster, so you can subtly keep the bow in check as you come into berth. With the 335, Galeon has proved that even when it's building boats that aren't laden with gadgets like folding balconies and walk-through windscreens, it can still produce a very good package. If anything, building a boat of this size with such great proportions, living spaces and such attention to quality is even more impressive. If you're in the market for a 35-foot sports cruiser, then the Galeon 335 HTS must be on your shortlist.